Alright, Norman asks, which phrasal verb should be used here? Kim still has not got something to starting his essay. Through, off, over, around. Around to. So you would say Kim still has not got around to starting his essay. Although you could use probably all the others, depending on the context though. So this is where it gets confusing, right? Based on the sentence itself, it would make sense to me to say Kim has still not got around to starting his essay, which means he hasn't found time to do it, right, today. To get around to something is to find the time to do something. So if I had to prepare this lesson today and I hadn't done it, I could have said, I hadn't got around to preparing this lesson before I started. So I just winged it. I made it up. I improvised because I hadn't got around to preparing it. However, if Kim still had not got off to start his essay, it sounds awkward, but to get off is still a phrasal verb, which would mean sort of to leave. So you might be saying in that sense, if Kim still hasn't got off to start his essay, that could mean maybe he's at someone's house and he hasn't left yet to go and start his essay. He still hasn't got off to go start his essay. You could also say Kim still hasn't got over to start his essay. In that case, it would be he hasn't got over to your house. So over being the idea of you're at one place and you're going over to another place. If I said Kim still hasn't gotten over to start his essay, that would be the idea that he hasn't gone to someone else's house to start his essay. And now if I said Kim still hasn't gotten through, so the idea of you having some sort of tunnel and getting through to start his essay, again, that could make sense, but it's based on the context. You'd have to have something set up. Maybe there's a tunnel that he has to pass through before he starts his essay, right? So he still hasn't gotten through the tunnel in order to start his essay. So that's what I think. That's why I think phrasal verbs are really good. But the important thing for learning these guys, don't memorize phrasal verbs by heart. This is something that might be controversial, but I would say don't just try to memorize the 2,000 phrasal verbs by heart. So don't try and do it just by memory. Try and understand why we're using the prepositions that are being added on to the ends of certain verbs to create a phrasal verb. So go over, go through, go in, go out, go on, etc. Understand why we're adding these prepositions onto these verbs, and then you can just make them up as you speak. I walk over there, I go through here, I stand on this, like you'll be able to just learn 50 verbs, you'll be able to learn 10, 15 prepositions, and then make thousands of phrasal verbs from those, 50, 60 different words. You can then combine them, as opposed to learning 1,000 to learning 2,000 different phrasal verbs. So that's my tip. Try and understand the concepts. Why are we using this preposition? Why are we using this preposition? Why are we using this one? Okay, I understand. It's this action, and the verb explains how the action's occurring. So that's my tip there, guys.
G'day guys, thanks for watching the video. Remember, if you want to support the channel financially, you can do so via my Patreon page, which is linked in the description below. If you can't afford to support the channel financially, you can still help by spreading the word and sharing the videos. Thanks so much guys, stay awesome, all the best.